See this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify, get helpful stats, and all the support you need to sound your very best.
Hey everyone, this is Phil.
And Lulu.
Of the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
You're listening to Into the Night.
The Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. I'm your host, of course, the High Priest Rey, and joining me on this, I call it a special episode, are a couple of hosts from the Critical Encounters podcast. So joining me is both Steve and Mike. Welcome.
How you doing?
Hey, Ray.
Hey, I do know. Steve, you're from the US. Mike, you're Canadian.
Yep.
Do you get a lot of flack from Steve? I do hear a few.
Mostly from Daniel.
Continuously.
Okay.
Continuously.
Excellent. I like a bit of national rivalry. That's fine. We do it with the Kiwis over here. So
I feel a little outnumbered because you have Ray. You have your loony listeners, and Mike, I know like the loon is an important bird up in Canada. So
yes,
not down here in the US.
Yep.
Exactly. And
2-on-1 Commonwealth versus not rebels, right?
That's right. Gold medals, baby. So anyway, loonies, we have both of the hosts here, and I'm so excited to have them on because we're going to be talking Marvel Champions, which is a living card game from Fantasy Flight, and in particular, I've got the wrong. Okay, let me just take that off. We're going to talk about Moon Knight in particular in Marvel Champions, the lack thereof, and the potential of having a Moon Knight in the game. First, look, if you don't know about Marvel Champions, you probably have heard me ramble about it because I'm a complete convert. Guys, if you were to, I was going to ask maybe Steve, if you were to give an elevator pitch of what Marvel Champions is and how you play it, how would you?
Sure. So Marvel Champions is a cooperative card game. They call it a living card game, which means there's constantly upgrades or expansion packs being put out for it, but it's not collectible like Magic the Gathering, where you buy a pack and you get random assortment of cards. Mm-hmm. If you want Hulk, you go buy Hulk. If you want Thor, you go buy Thor. And as a cooperative game, you are taking on the roles of heroes, going up against various villain scenarios, Green Goblin, Sinister Six, and there's quite a lot. They've got a Hydra scenario and Guardians of the Galaxy sort of stuff. So you get to sit down with your friends at the table and team up. You each play one hero, and you might bring out some allies, so you get some other characters in play. And the idea is to stop the villain's evil scheme and to defeat him in combat. So I think that's the quick and dirty of it.
That is a very nice, succinct explanation. It's very infectious, the game, and I guess the more heroes you get, the more expansions and scenarios, the more varied you can deck build, and that's a large component of the game as well. You can customize your deck, which is kind of a thing in itself, I think, and you can tailor it towards each particular villain. Starting off with Critical Encounters, the podcast as well, I just want to draw back to Mike. How did you get into Marvel Champions?
I think probably the simplest explanation is I've been a fan of a lot of the living card games, the co-op versions, for quite a while. I got into the Lord of the Rings living card game just a year after it started, jumped into Arkham Horror living card game as soon as that came out. So Marvel Champions was just next on the list. They've already hit two of them right out of the park, as far as I'm concerned. They totally nailed it. So, especially since Marvel Champions was designed in part by Caleb Grace, and he had a big hand in a lot of the Lord of the Rings stuff, so I already knew his style. And yeah, of course. And at first the Marvel team was like, well, how you never know what a company does with an IP, right? So I
Yeah.
was a little unsure, but I was at a game night and I was sitting down playing playing at a local shop, and Marvel Champions had just came out and it was on the shelf staring at me almost the whole night. So I picked it up, brought it home, and that was that.
I know it's quite a recent, actually, Marvel Champions 2020, right? So we're talking like loonies. It's not like an old game. How old was their preceding games like Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror? How?
Lord of the Rings, I think, came out 2012,
Okay, so it's got a bit
or
of.
was that earlier
Yeah,
than that?
it's old.
It's got a
And
decade or so
Arkham
behind it.
Horror is on 6 years now, I believe.
Okay, right. Because I had the impression Arkham Horror was like a really old like game. Like I've just been introduced into, I guess, card games myself, so I'm very new in it. But I have heard of Arkham Horror, so to me, I just thought that was around for like yonks. But uh, we're not talking about.
Well, there's like
Sorry.
5 different Arkham Horror games, and there's a Call of Cthulhu card game, and so it's been around a long time. But the current living card game that Mike's talking about, yeah, maybe about 6 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And Steve, how about you? Like with Marvel Champions, were you right on from the get go?
well, like Mike, I played Lord of the Rings. That's like my first love. That's my first nerd. And then I was playing Arkham Horror as well. And then I saw there's this Marvel card game, and I said, I want nothing to do with this. I don't want to buy this game. I already have 2 other games, plus like regular board games and all this sort of stuff. And so I was like, yeah, forget it. And then a few months went by, and people are talking about it. A few more months went by. I'm like, all right, I'll pick it up. Yeah. And then it's like, that's it. I fell in love, and said, boy, we need to start a podcast about this.
Nice.
And off we go.
Yeah, so. I mean, because you mentioned just before we started, we clicked record. You mentioned that you collected way back in the 90s comics. So I guess comics and Marvel have not featured much or been in your like purview. But I guess the MCU cinematic universe, you guys listening to the podcast, all of you have kind of are all up to date with that, right?
Yeah. Like you said, I collected some X-Men stuff in the 90s. So that was my childhood.
Yep.
And then just sort of fell out of it.
Yeah.
But always watched like the original X-Men movies and, the Fantastic Four and those sort of things in the MCU. And that kind of got us back into it. And then I have kids and they really love the movies. Mm-hmm. So it's just, got back into the comics now. And with Marvel Unlimited, it's easy to keep up on stuff. I think.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. You're keeping on track, aren't you, Mike, as well, on Marvel Unlimited?
Loosely. I was not a comic book reader. I read kind of the odd one and was not at all interested in them. And then since this game came out and since they wrote me into the podcast, I tried out the Marvel Unlimited because you could tell, jumping ahead a little bit, like Marvel Champions, they cater to a lot of groups, right? Like, and in doing so, they show you all these characters that are a little offbeat. Mm-hmm. She-Hulk was in the core set.
Yes.
And I didn't know who She-Hulk was. Like, one of the first packs was Ms. Marvel that came out. So all these diverse characters got me, seeing how diverse that the comics have become. And I did do a trial of Marvel Unlimited, and it was fun. I got into them, and I was wonderfully surprised. So I kept at it. I kind of dive in periodically. I'll go for a couple months without reading, and then read one comic, and then just read a whole run, start to finish.
That's awesome.
Everything remotely related to it.
Binge it. That's it.
Yeah, absolute binging.
I think it works both ways, actually, because for me, as I mentioned before, I'm really not a card or game player, and this has opened the door to like I've totally fallen in love with Marvel Champions, and I now want to check out Arkham Horror. I've joined the games night, which is fortnightly, and the guys over there have told me about the inner workings of these other games, which sound absolutely awesome. So I think it works really well both ways, and I'm glad to hear that both of you dip in to Marvel and to Marvel Unlimited. I mean, there's some great stories. Do either of you have a particular favorite character? Dare I say Hank Johnson or?
Yeah. Ooh.
So for folks who eventually might go and listen to our show, we are the villains. Mm-hmm. That's what this is for.
Yes.
So if you ask us our favorite characters, they have to be villain characters, right, Mike?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, in order to stay
it's
on
the
brand.
Magus. I'm sorry, it's the Magus.
Oh, yeah, very, very good, actually. Very good
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
guys don't believe me.
Yeah, okay. I really like Taskmaster, the comic version of
Mm.
Taskmaster, not the MCU version of Taskmaster.
Oh, I
So,
totally agree with you there as well. And I'm totally remiss. I should have opened as well. Critical Encounters, a fantastic podcast these guys do. As Steve said, it is all villain based. So some of you may, um, you know, see some parallels between Tomes of Evil. There was another, we're affiliated with another podcast, Tomes of Evil, all to do with villains in comics. So it's really cool. So that's kind of what gravitated me towards you guys as well. It's like, oh, cool, villain based. Yeah, love it. But for listeners who want to check you out, how would you kind of explain or present Critical Encounters?
well, okay, so we're obviously a podcast about Marvel Champions,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of podcasts about Marvel Champions, especially when we came out. There was like 6 of them or something at the time. So we wanted to do something different, and we wanted to talk about the scenarios that you play against. So the villains. So when you play the game, you play as the heroes, and you go against the villains, which is the deck is automated, and you're playing against that. So we talk all about the villain lore that you might be going up against, the lore from the different sets that you can get, and then we review the cards from the villain, and we take the whole look as if we are the villains. And you know, we sort of bust on the heroes, and when we review a card, we're thinking, is this card good for the bad guys?
Yes.
Is this card hard for the players? Is it, is it fun? Is it enjoyable? Is it on theme? Does this character make sense?
Yeah.
Something to point out about this game is that, yes, you deck build your characters, but the villains also have deck building in a sense. You choose your villain, and they have their core cards. And then you have these little 6 to 8 card mini sets that you throw in, and a scenario will typically have anywhere from 1 to 3 of these. And it could be, the Mystique set, and it's all about Mystique's powers, or what's another good one?
Hydra soldiers.
The Hydra soldiers, right? It's full of Hydra bombers and things, and just to give the sets a little bit more flavor, take it in a different direction, make it harder or easier, and so we talk about how these sets come together and how you can quote unquote deck build as the villain to have a good time.
I absolutely love it. You guys go right into the nitty gritty, like looking at particular cards, and there are many times that I've heard in my listen through to your show about the boost icons, and there are not enough of them. We need more 3 boosts, and and also another one which I it sticks in my head is the regenerative healing, which is a bit of a meh card, I guess, from the villain standpoint. It's a little bit of a breather for the hero.
From Goblin Gimmicks, yeah.
Yeah. So these guys, they get right into the game, and if you're invested in the game, which I strongly urge loonies, you give it a go, then you'll get valuable info from Critical Encounters from the villain point of view. But I love it because it's tongue in cheek. You're indirectly talking also about the heroes and how to play them. So that's really cool. Moon Knight. I'm just going to jump straight into it. Of course, this is the night. Moon Knight knowledge, guys. Not. I think I've spoken to you briefly, Steve, about your knowledge of Moon Knight. How deep are you in the lore of Mr.
So
Spectre?
I did watch the Disney Plus series. I liked that. I don't know how accurate that is. And when we did our Heroes for Hire episode, way back now, like two seasons ago, I had the privilege of talking about that Rapscallion Moon Knight. Somebody else said Shang-Chi. These are a bunch of captive heroes, so I got to do a little bit of research on them. So I think I have a passing knowledge, but definitely not like you would have, Ray. So.
Oh no, absolutely. Look, I'm just
there he is.
Going to
That's
chuck
the
it
card
on the first thing off the ranks. Yeah, and how about you, Mike? An Uber Moon Knight fan?
Yeah,
I'm taking it.
I started with the Disney Plus show and then dived into the comics. I don't even remember which ones I read. It was somewhere around the 2010 2016 runs.
Yep.
And I remember Stevie asked about accuracy. The homage was definitely there. You could see it. Like they certainly did the asylum scene and the is this even real or is this all in his head thing. It was very surreal. I absolutely loved it. I still don't exactly know what I read. It was just really, it was really wild and crazy. And
Let me guess, the Jeff
I loved
Lemire,
it.
probably the Jeff Lemire run. I'm assuming you're talking about, which is a very cool, yes, cerebral experience. A hard one to jump onto because, I mean, it is standalone, but you kind of have to know a little bit about Moon Knight before it, because it gets really into his head and stuff like that. Also, just before, I wanted to ask you guys as well. I'd noticed a particular lack of street heroes in Marvel.
Mhm.
And like, of course, there was currently now there's a big focus on the mutants, X-Men, and such. Before that, it was more cosmic with Galaxy's Most Wanted and the Mad Titan Shadow. Um, I don't know. Do you have any theories as to why they're kind of holding out on these characters? We've got Spidey, but we're lacking big hitters like Daredevil, Punisher, Ghost Rider.
Yeah, so I mean, some of those Jessica Jones, there's ally versions of a lot of them,
Yes.
but you don't get to play them as a hero. And we've spoken with the folks at FFG quite a bit, Caleb and Michael Boggs, who also worked on it, and Tony.
Banshee.
I forget. Fanchi? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fanchi, not Fauci. And they had this idea that they were going to do these connected storylines through the campaign boxes. So they were going to do an Infinity Stone saga. So you had 3 big boxes, and that's the story they wanted to tell. And they told that story, which is not right. They got to write their own Marvel adventures. It's a different universe, right? It's not 616, but it's sort of based in that. And then we ended up with the Sinister Motives, where we got a bunch of Spider-Man stuff, sort of as a palate cleanser, I think.
Okay.
And now we're going to get a bunch of mutant stuff. So my hope is that after a 3-box run of the mutants, like we got a 3-run box for Infinity Stones, we'll get another one of these palette cleansers, and maybe that will get some of our street level guys, Daredevil, Elektra, Iron Fist.
They tend to go in sets, right?
Okay.
When they did the Champions boxes, and there wasn't really a deluxe about the Champions. They just threw them into one of the cycles right before Sinister Motives, and they grouped them together because they have cards that key off those traits. So it makes sense to throw these characters all together. So I can see maybe after Mutants, if they want to fill out one of the cycles with some of these characters that people know and love, that they'll throw them in there. And they've done it in the past. They threw Valkyrie in the middle of
she's
the Avengers. And
I still think she's a bit of a strange one. Because I know also as well, like the packs, they choose a character that has a sell ability. You look at like Wolverine, Gambit, Rogue, standalone packs. You need to be able to shift those units. And from what I've heard from, I think you guys had mentioned the heroes in the expansions are probably those less likely to. Although I would have thought Hawkeye would have easily been a sellable character. I don't know. I'm hoping that we do get some sort of street level, events. Sorry, Dave.
I was going to say Caleb, who is, I would call him maybe the lead designer. He's a comic guy. He likes comics. Mutants Cyclops is his favorite character. Yeah. So, okay. But sort of a villain. So we can get on board there. He's said to us before, there are so many Marvel characters. This game has legs. It can go a very long time if they want to get to them, and they can't do everybody's favorite character right off the bat because there are so many of them.
Oh yeah.
But I would think, they got to come around, kind of like they did with Sinister Motives, where you got some Web Warriors, you got some Champions, you got a little bit of this, and they can mix and match the packs. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I'm just hoping they do. I'm hoping, obviously, we get a Moon Knight pack. The fact that he's featured as an ally is something. So I have played him. I didn't manage to get him when I was playing Rise of the Red Skull, but I'm hoping one day when I replay it again, I'll get him. If we're to look at Moon Knight in Marvel Champions, what I want to do is just to look at, basically there are 2 cards, loonies, that Moon Knight features, and the other one, which I mentioned, is only artwork. It's from the Jason Burrows Max Bemis run, Lie in Wait. I've yet to play that card, but I'm pretty pretty keen on that card, just because of the artwork, basically.
Yeah.
But looking at the first one, so on the screen now, so for those looking at the video, we have the Moon Knight ally card from Rise of the Red Skull at 0 cost because he, amongst others, are held hostage or captured by Taskmaster. I just want to get your guys' feel about this. How do you think he ranks with his stats, his hit points? Is that pretty cool? And in his response, I mean, that's a pretty hefty thing to get 2 cards.
I love this guy. He's my favorite of the heroes in this little set. I mean, they all cost 0 for one, so you can't go wrong with any stats.
Yep.
But he's fairly even across the board. He's not stellar in anything, but he can do anything. So he can cover for whatever you can't do that turn.
Yeah. Steve, have you played him?
Yeah, I've played enough times to get Moon Knight out. His response is really neat because when you bring him out, you can spend an extra wild resource. You get to draw 2 cards, and cards are great. Cards are resources. Cards are actions. Their abilities, maybe you draw something that you really want. So, yeah, it's pretty potent. Effect. And 3 health is solid. That means he could use his, in this game, you get to use, after they attack or they thwart, they do something, they take some consequential damage. So eventually they go away. So they don't stick around. You don't get this huge board. Eventually your allies kind of come in and do their thing and eventually leave. And then you get them back later on.
Yes. So for loonies, again, a little bit of a crash course here. So basically allies have far less health, again, I guess, than heroes or villains. Yeah, as Steve said, they only stick around for a bit. Whenever they attack or thwart, they incur consequential damage, which means they have to reduce their health. And you can, what I love, the terminology of chump blocking. You can you can just throw your friends in front of the bus and save yourself. Well, yeah.
They heroically leap in front of you and take the bullet for you.
That's right.
So, yeah. I mean, that's what they would say.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely right. You've worded it better than I have, for sure. The other one here I wanted to show, it's not really Moon Knight related, but I have been trawling the card decks and everything, and I was happy to see this is a rather recent run of Moon Knight. It was as I mentioned, part of the Max Bemis Jason Burrows run here. So he's on the Isla Ra there, and it's line weight. So this is an upgrade, and again, a bit of a crash course. When you deck build, you get different categories that you make your deck from. Upgrades basically give you a little bit of a I guess a little bit of a boost. How would you explain it? It's like a support and upgrades are very similar to me, but yeah.
They boost your board state a little bit. They make you a little bit more powerful.
Yes,
for the long run.
So this is sorry, Steve.
Oh, yeah. Some will give you a boost to combat. Some will have an ability to draw cards. Some will have a way to cycle something.
Yep.
And upgrades are supposed to be your hero, an ability your hero has, and the support is somebody else that's helping you. It's the guy in the chair, or it's another team somewhere down the road helping you out.
Yeah, I particularly like, and again, I can't remember if it's a support or an upgrade, the training, but at the moment it's only for X-Men characters, which is quite annoying because I love it because you can amp up your hit points for your allies, you can amp up their attack or their thwart, or you can just basically, in protection, one of the aspects, you can amp up just their health, like a really big boost, like you double Moon Knight's health there with like a +3. I like this card, and I like the use of the Moon Knight artwork because I think it's right on point. So this card, after a minion engages you, you can use this card to basically deal damage to them. So you don't affect your overall basic stats. This you can kind of invest in early on, and you can just wait. And if you so happen to need it and get rid of a minion, because some of the lesser ones are like 3 hit points or so, like Hydra soldiers and stuff.
It's a good amount.
Quite a few of them are
after
3.
So that's on point with Moon Knight there, just perched above the tree, on the tree branch, waiting to drop in and do his thing. Very cool.
Now, who's that in the art underneath him?
Sorry, underneath him, they're just generic fodder, I think. They're actually minions, if I'm to use the terminology, minions of the Sun King. So this came from the run where Moon Knight fights or comes up against the Sun King, he acquires an island, and they take Moon Knight on there, and they torture him, beat him to death, not to death, but they just beat him senseless. But of course, he fights back, as all heroes do, as you would be so annoyed by that. Getting into now, I want to look at the what ifs and how do we build this thing. So, with your knowledge of Moon Knight, from the comics and from the MCU, I'm going to go back to just the ally one here. If we use that just as a base, what would you say is the what would be an appropriate thwart and attack and hand size and health for someone like Moon Knight? I'll throw to Mike first.
Yeah, the way to think about this game is you look at the average of everything and you go from there. So most characters have a hand size of 5, and we haven't talked about alter ego, but everyone's got their alter ego. Captain America goes home to become Steve Rogers, and when you're in your alter ego, you're safer, and your hand size is always a little bit higher. And most of the characters have the same hand size. They tend to decrease it for some of your heavy hitters, like Hulk has a hand size of 4 because he can't think or strategize. He just wants to, Hulk smash.
Yes.
So probably around the same. And, the 2s in all stats is fairly run of the mill. So I don't know if I would deviate from that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I was just thinking about the thwart because, again, from the handbook of the Marvel Universe, Moon Knight is meant to be, how they bandy these things around. He is a master strategist, so apparently he's very good at coming up with stuff to thwart. But I would have thought his DID may have played into that and affected him. So I would have given him maybe like a 1 thwart instead. I don't know if that would be fair. 2 attack is fine, I think, because let's face it, he's not like the Hulk or Thor or anyone like that. But yeah, health wise, what do you reckon? Like 11? Is that too much?
Yeah, I was thinking 11.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't he? He gets beat up a lot, comes back, and Khonshu does the whole no, I'm not done with you yet. So I would think he'd have more health than, say, Hawkeye, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's also,
who I think has 9. So
yeah, doesn't Spidey have 9 as well? I would have thought he's got a lot more. But anyway,
quite a few of them have 9. I mean, Hawkeye's got 9. Spidey, I think I think he does have 9.
That's interesting considering
Gambit's got 9. Yeah.
Gambit, yeah. I mean, considering like Gambit can blow up things, but like physically, he's just like a normal dude. Whereas it's interesting. I would have thought Spidey, because he's quite durable as a character. I would have thought I'd given him like 11 or something.
Well, what you don't have on this ally card is the defense stat, and heroes get a defense stat, which is what they can use to absorb damage before it goes to their hit points. And Spider-Man has a 3 defense, which is that's your highest base in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's represented there.
Oh, speaking of defense, this is great because it isn't shown in this card, but as you said, Steve, the defense is there to obviously absorb some attack. And what you mentioned as well about Moon Knight, I think would be awesome. I don't know if any cards do it, but since there's a common saying in for the Moon Knight character that he would rather take a hit than actually block it. And Taskmaster has been quoted as saying, I never want to replicate Moon Knight's fighting style because I just get beat up too much. Yeah, so this is a thing. He's almost, I don't know what you call it. He's into this like high pain kind of thing. I would think that like a defense thing, like with the green defense, if he had like, I don't know, 2 as a basic defense, but potentially then doing it something like an interrupt or a response that once he defends, he can get, I don't know, he can get more attack or something. I think that would be
how about
pretty cool.
If he takes damage from a villain attack, he draws 2 cards.
Yes, yeah, I think that'd be great.
That, right?
Is there another character kind of like that that's into getting hurt? I mean, I know there are a lot of cards that
Spider-Ham.
Oh, really? Okay.
Spider-Ham.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So every time Spider-Ham takes any amount of damage, he gets a tune counter, and he can spend those tune counters for resources. So he can buy other things or play other cards.
Oh, so, that's very cool. Yeah, I think that's very apt for Moon Knight as well. I know there are other cards as well in the general aspect decks that like one way or another, where you bring out something bad, or like you bring out a side scheme, or you bring out a minion in order to get some good. So
Right.
I reckon something like that in the Moon Knight hero deck would be pretty cool as well, because he's
Oh yeah.
he's right into that.
Press your luck.
Press your
Is
luck.
what.
Hang on, let me
Oh no, that's
No,
what I'm saying. It's
that's
like
what
a
we'll
press
call
your
it.
luck
That's what
mechanic.
we'll call
No,
it.
no, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
That's the one with oh no, that's press the advantage. Press your luck.
No, we're making this up on the spot. We'll say
I'm just
Press Your Luck
saying.
is
Yeah.
a Moon Knight card
Oh,
where
okay,
what
okay, right.
let's say you search the top 5-10 cards of the encounter deck for a minion,
Yes,
and then you engage it, and then you draw cards.
Well,
Yeah,
that's because I was just playing Thor the other night. That's very similar to Thor, right? His response: engage a minion, draw 2 cards. I think that'd be more
Yeah.
more Moon Knights,
Yeah.
jazz. Or
The difference is Thor's just sees the enemy and says, "Come here."
Yeah.
Moon Knight's searching for trouble, right? If he goes into the deck to find it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think I wanted to try to identify a theme there with Moon Knight, and I very much think that is one of it, because again, I love the varied. I love how thematic these heroes and villains can be. So again, Looney listeners, Star-Lord, I haven't played him yet, but on Games Night, one of the players I play with, he uses him, and there's a whole risk and gamble thing with Star-Lord. I love it. Iron Man tech building, you have to build his suit, basically. So they really put a lot of thought into how to make these cards intrinsically like the characters. Also, one of my favorites, I talked to Adicop on Discord about my love for Hulk, and I know he gets panned a lot because he's so difficult. He's like but that's him, isn't it? He's a bit chaotic. He's I brought out his ally card on Games Night, and everyone just kind of did that to me. I go, what? Like, I love the character. And they're like, oh, did you have to? I go,
Yeah, you got to use them, because what could happen with that one is when you go to attack, he could just hit everybody.
Exactly, and that's what happened. That's what happened. So,
it's a fun one.
So listeners, you bring out Hulk, and it depends on, you have to draw a card, and you have different resources, different types of cards, and if you pick out one particular card, which I think is energy, you draw that. He hits everyone. So I did that, unfortunately, a couple of times. No one was happy. But he did his thing. So other themes, I guess, for Moon Knight. What do you guys reckon?
Oh, so I was thinking of the hero card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna jump right in. I was thinking of the hero card, and we would need something like we have for Ant-Man. So Ant-Man's a 3-sided card.
Yeah, very cool.
If that makes any sense.
Oh my goodness!
It's 2-sided, but it folds.
Yes.
And you have Scott Lang, Alter Ego, you have Giant Ant-Man, and you have Tiny Ant-Man. I think Moon Knight would be great if you had one hero side and 2 Alter Ego sides.
That's cool.
Right? You could have the Steven and the Jake,
yeah.
Right?
Well,
and they could do different things.
Yes.
So,
or somehow get a third one in there for Mark. So, that'll be great. Different recoveries. So, Alter Egos listeners, they have basically recovery. So you flip to them, tap to them. I don't know what the terminology is, and you can basically heal yourself, get a little bit of respite before jumping back into the fray. Whilst you're an Alter Ego, villains and minions, they don't attack. They can only kind of scheme. So it's a strategic thing that you might want to do. What I've obviously read and heard about, guys, is that you stay in hero form as long as you can. That's the rule of thumb. Is that correct?
I do, but I play protection decks, so that's kind of my bag.
Yeah. I mean, it could depend on who you're playing. So Riri Williams, Ironheart, she on her Alter Ego side has an ability to help her build her suit faster. So you want to be able to flip to that and build her suit. She has a genius ability, and you want to be able to build up really quick.
Yes.
Other characters
Gambit?
Don't have anything on Alter Ego. Like Wolverine, you flip to Wolverine, and all you could do is heal with him. There's nothing really on Logan's side.
No, I haven't played it again, but again, from Games Night, one of the guys plays Gambit. I know he's pretty powerful Alter Ego for thwarting. So he can
he's good.
Apparently thwart in Alter Ego, which is unheard of.
Unique,
Yeah, very unique.
Him and Black Widow are the two.
Oh, can she? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, she has a card, Covert Ops, that lets her thwart into alter ego form.
Awesome. Okay. So, I have played her.
Because they're spies, right? They're
yeah, that's
infiltrating.
true.
Yeah.
I love her deck.
Yeah.
Again, if we're talking about styles, Black Widow, she's it's all about preparation with her, and so you can build your what do you call it? It's not your deck. You can build your play area, your board. You can build your board with all this stuff, and when anything goes south, it's like, yep, not worried. I've got it right here, and she does it. So, again, very very much on theme. So we've got taking damage, Moon Knight, I think on theme, and also his identity is very much so. I think that's pretty cool. Looking at existing characters, you mentioned Spider-Ham. I guess very similar to taking that sort of thing. Oh, and Ant-Man as well. I guess the identities are the closest things we might have to him. So if you do that and you mix in a bit of street levelness, I think you've pretty much got your Moon Knight there as well. Nemesis. Look, I'm gonna.
I think.
Sorry,
I have one thing I'd like to point out, because you brought up his DID and the fact that he's a master strategist, but he also, with the DID, might have one thwart. And I think the way the designers might approach that is they might say he has one thwart, but then provide him upgrades that get him up to 3.
Yeah, right.
The catch is you got to throw them into play.
That
so
makes
it might
sense.
even be master strategist card, and it might be a trait or something that you've done or you've worked on. Get it in there.
Yeah, no, actually, that sounds pretty good. I think I'm trying to also think of, like, you can also work in thematically. Moon Knight's got a lot of gadgets. Look at weapons. Yeah. So Crescent.
Cloak,
right?
right?
Yeah.
The cloak's got to do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Crescent moons, truncheons, that sort of stuff. Also, as well, I've got. After we gather our thoughts about it, I've got someone has done this thing, and they've done a few characters. They've done custom decks, custom builds. I just want to ask you guys: do you guys? What are your thoughts on that? Do you guys use them, or I mean, they look very similar to the cards, but they're not official. So I'm a bit mixed with them. Have you guys come across them?
There's a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play enough of the game. Like, I play a lot of it, and I feel like there's still so much of the game to explore that I just haven't gotten there yet. Now we've also done our own cards.
Yep.
We have.
Oh, nice.
We did a Santa and a Krampus pack from the Marvel lore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that available? Is that available somewhere online?
Yeah, we have links to our. I can send them to you. Awesome. Google Docs, where you can either get the JPEGs or so you could print them out, or some of the various online platforms. But yeah, Santa Claus, CLAWS, right? It's a scenario, and if you're naughty, he's mean to you. And Mike made a great Krampus one.
Nice.
That the greedier the heroes get, the worse Krampus becomes. So they're fun to do from time to time.
That's cool. Yeah. That is fun. I mean, like, again, I mean, I guess it depends on how, like, serious or official you want to be, but I'd imagine they'd be fun to make as well. So like just to make them would be pretty good. So absolutely. If you can shoot over the link, I can put that in the show notes if anyone wants to, if that's allowed, if that's okay.
That's great.
Yeah. Also, what I found as well, I mean, again, just entering this whole community. So again, games night, I go to the guy that organizes it. He does, like, print the cards if you want to, like, just because I know Fantasy Flight have a link to, so you can go to the website and they have print and play. I mean, there's a Ronin modular set, I think, that is only available in that format, so you have to kind of print them yourself. But also I have seen the likes of, like, resource cards just with funky different artwork for your favorite hero. So there's a lot of that going around. I'm thinking of getting something printed. I want to get that Ronin modular set printed out properly as well and use that. If you go into your strengths now, like, we're going into villains, nemesis, who would you, again, with your knowledge of Moon Knight, TV or otherwise, who would you see as Moon Knight's main nemesis? Steve?
Mike.
Oh my goodness. See, I don't know enough. I don't know enough about it.
Okay.
Because the run I kept pulling back to the nemesis in the Disney TV show. I don't think I have enough of the universe to really say otherwise.
No.
I do know what his obligation is.
Oh, yes. What? Yeah, obligation.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, the obligation is going to be his three selves fighting with each other.
Yes.
And maybe that, I don't know, maybe it blanks his text box or doesn't let him, switch forms or something like that.
Yeah.
Every hero has this obligation card that gets shuffled into the villain deck.
Mhm.
And it could be anything from, Kamala Khan didn't do her homework or she was out too late to,
Spider-Man has to pay his rent.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Moon Knight could just be, these inner demons.
That's absolutely. Yeah.
Fighting with each other.
I think that's right. That writes itself, really. So again, Looney's, as Mike was saying about the obligation, you generally get two options, right? There's one option that kind of hurts, and then there's another option that's like really sucks. So you may flip to alter ego and exhaust your character, and then get rid of the card. That's correct, right? And then what I've learned in the games night is that if I'm already exhausted, then I can't do that first option. So you have to opt for the second one, which is invariably like worse, like get rid of X amount of resource cards or whatever, or lose support and upgrades. So obligations are a nice little fun aspect. And yes, as Mike said, I think that kind of conflict within Mark's head would be perfect for that. And I'd say, depending obviously how you build the deck, Mike, I reckon it would be losing more resources or losing some sort of important card for Mark in his deck.
Something like that. Yeah, it would key off of what we're doing here. And I guess if we're keying in on doing damage makes him do something, then maybe these cards will help counter that somehow. Like the villain will force you to discard cards if that's your stick.
Yes. Yeah. No, it sounds very...
My goodness. I'm just doing a quick scan here. He's had some interactions with Bullseye, right?
Yes, he has come across Bullseye, yep, and Taskmaster as well. So he flew a plane into Taskmaster. Can I just say that? So,
wow.
Yeah, and Tasky survived. I don't know how, but he ended up being absolutely terrified of Moon Knight after that. So another thing as well, I just want to share with you guys about Moon Knight, as particularly in the early mid-2000s, which was where I think the modern era of Moon Knight really begins, and what we get from Moon Knight today is very much taken from the Charlie Houston run. Is that, as I said, he doesn't mind pain. He's a bit reckless in that sense, but he also had what am I saying? He also had a desire to carve. So instead of, not only would he bring criminals to justice and bring them in, if he didn't kill them, he would carve a moon into their foreheads, like a permanent tattoo, so to speak, or a permanent scar, so they forever will know him. So he very much is terror based as well. He kind of terrorizes villains too. So that could be something that could be part of his deck as well. Okay, so what I want to there are so many cards here. I mentioned about the custom content. I want to go through these quickly with you guys, and I don't know, just get your thoughts on them. I thought they were pretty cool. So someone created by Design Hacker. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that creator. I just did a search and I came across these. I was going, what? Is there a hero? No, there's not a hero pack. It's custom. So as we spoke about, he's got the 1/2/2 here. He's got good offense. And I like this point. He reduces the cost of the aggression cards you play by 1. So again, we're talking about him attacking a lot. I guess this leans into him just, you want to play him as an attacker, right? Rather than a thwarter.
Right.
So
interesting.
Yeah. We actually have another one of his identities, Mr. Knight.
Oh, I see what he's done. Okay.
The hand size is reduced. You notice that it's a 4.
Yes. Down to 4. He's got 11, as we kind of spoke. His thwart goes up because Mr. Knight is a little bit more savvy with stuff. What we got here, I've noticed the creator also takes a lot of leanings from the Spider-Woman deck about dual or multi aspects in the deck. So I think that's a very clever way of kind of doing the identity thing. So we do
For
have
sure, for sure.
So there's also I won't get into it as well, but there's an identity stack. So for listeners as well, some heroes they come with setup, permanent or setup cards. So from just off the top of my head, Vision has got like a density thing.
Yep.
Oh, Doctor Strange has the Invocation deck. He's got his own little mini deck outside of his normal deck. We have Moon Knight doing this as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just thought I'd throw this
Oh,
out.
this is fascinating. So
Yeah.
his hand size as Mark is a 7.
Oh, is this
And
Mhm.
the way I'm seeing this, like that's your options, right? So
Yes.
you're going to have all these different aspects in your hand, and you might say, "Oh, I got these aggression cards. Maybe I want to go for, the Moon Knight identity with
Yes.
that keys off aggression cards." But then your hand size is 4, and
Mm.
really soon, you're going to have only 4 cards in your hand. There's a good chance you won't see an aggression card.
Yeah.
So I think this style is forcing you to cycle through your identities.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I think
sounds like it.
it mentions here, and I don't want to because I've got the blurb for the whole instructions. There's an identity stack as well, which is really cool. So I guess you just randomly pick one, and that's what you have.
Oh, it's random.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that'll be pretty cool. So I didn't pick that up. 7. That's a massive hand for Mark Spector. Stephen Grant, more of the philanthropist, is more 5, a bit more standard. He's got, I think he's associated obviously with the leadership, the blue cards, which listeners is more so about gaining allies. I mean, there's a method of playing. I guess if you want to stack yourselves with allies, it's all about kind of supporting them and having a team, so to speak. Jake, who I love, is now you guys saw Jake Lockley in the MCU, right? Very different from the comics, but essentially true in that he's a little bit of a ruffian, a bit more street level. We got Justice here for him, played by One.
Kind of playing off his network of informants and things
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, so he's a guy that hangs around the diner, talks to people he knows on the street to kind of get intel to help out. This thing keeps on popping up, so I can't see it. What's a hand size there?
This is
5.
5.
5 as well. Okay. Then less resolution here. I've got there's a whole slew then of cards that obviously this person has done as part of the hero pack. Deal 3 damage, but again, as I mentioned, use this as an aggression card as well. So we've got the aspects in play, which is pretty cool. I think we've got a justice card here, changing form. So again, like Ant-Man, you can change your form like Vision again. We've got Gear Up, Hero Interrupt Defense. Actually, I wanted to talk, Mike. You said you play a lot of protection decks. They are very, I think, different compared to the other aspects in the fact that I guess you have to play off reacting, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Mm,
Running joke is that you don't take your turn during your turn. You take it during the
yes,
enemy's turn.
yeah, it's a very different way of playing. I've been trying to build a Hulk protection deck, and like I beat Absorbing Man,
Yep.
but he's no hard villain, so I wanted to test him out. But it's really cool because again, there's a whole system, loonies, of the procedure, the steps to actually go through a round. But instead of as Mike said, instead of playing like as you would normally in the player phase, you kind of have to, and you have to maybe burn a couple of cards that don't make sense. Like with the Hulk protection deck, if I come up with a lot of hero interrupts, I mean they're useless to me, right, in the player phase, because
Right.
you have to wait until you mulligan and you draw your cards and wait for the villains. Those are the cards that actually make more sense to you. Is that correct?
You definitely have to key off of what phase you're going to be playing in more than anything. I see. Yeah, I see. You're talking about like when you start the game and Hulk discards his hand all the time too, so
Yes.
you have to be careful about.
Well,
Yeah,
the I guess the mechanic there is to, would you not then look at playing on the board all your supports and upgrades first, and then And then once a player phase ends, then hopefully you draw like a lot of interrupts, I guess, defense cards. I don't know. Is
Yeah,
that
defensive cards and things
yeah.
like that after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different way. But here we got again, yeah. So we have Mr. Knight doing his defense thing as a protection. When you defend against an attack, you get 2 defense, and you gain retaliate 2, which is pretty cool. So again, there are cards like desperate defense, where you amp up your defense, but you get to do something if. How do you find those cards, Mike? I find them very difficult to use because you have to. Some of them you have to. What is it? Not take any damage.
Desperate defense is it's pretty good because it boosts your defense by 2 naturally. So as long as you have a hero that has a decent starting defense, you're probably okay. Sometimes it's chancy, but I love it because it's really important to have your hero standing. You said it before. If your obligation pops up and you're exhausted because you're playing protection and you've been defending, then you're stuck. But anything you can do to help keep your character up is good. I find that to be a staple.
Okay.
Just because of the redding effect. Yeah. Even if it whiffs, like it's still +2 defense.
Yeah, I've dropped in a few where where I forget the card names, but where you amp up your defense, but you can stun an enemy, or you can remove some thwart, or you can ready a hero. They're pretty cool, pretty fun.
Yeah.
Just mindful of the time, so I'm just going to go through this. Basically, you get kind of basic cards as well, which aren't part of aspects, loonies, and they kind of can feature into your pack. Like, I guess, I mean, this is a hero deck. These are hero decks, but apart from the aspects, which you get, I should have started off with that as well: aggression, protection, justice, and leadership. You get 4 different aspects, different kind of ways to play. You also get basic cards, which kind of fill up the deck as well, and they do a bit of everything, but not as good as your heroes. So we've got here. This reminded me of the Hulk stuff, where you're depending. Of the discard pile, the top of the pile, you got your aggression, justice, leadership, or protection. They can do certain things with you. Leadership card here, changing forms. Bushman was the nemesis. I think is a comic.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, comic wise is a go to, or Sun King, just because Moon and Sun. Now feature, but he does have a nice little rogues gallery, but definitely Bushman would be the one. And Bushman is like a merc as well. He's not powered or anything. He's just very vicious. So yeah, he loves his knife as well. That was another thing. I don't know if you guys know, one of the main things in the modern run, Moon Knight cuts off the face of Bushman. Just, rather than bring him in or kill him, decides to literally cut his face off. And in a later run, Marlene, his partner, catches Mark wearing that face in the bathroom. So we're talking about a very dark, not your typical hero.
Yeah, I don't think that's stuff you would see in the Fantasy Flight Marvel Champions game.
No.
They would pass over that.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed on this custom set is they're giving the options to change your forms, because normally when you play once a round, you can flip between the hero and alter ego. So you can, but you can't just flip willy nilly. And they're giving this Moon Knight a chance to flip multiple times for free, right? It was like, play this aggression, flip forms, do this thing, flip forms. So that's a different kind of feel to this Moon Knight than you would get out of any other hero too.
Yeah, so. and I would be a little bit disappointed if they didn't have that sort of thing, because I mean, his identities are a massive part of his character, and you definitely see that in the TV show, and a lot of runs either like they focus on that, or we get a run currently now, which I urge both of you to have a little read. Jed McKay with Alessandro Capuccio, Volume 9 of Moon Knight is a fantastic run. It's actually a lot of fellow loonies are lauding it as one of their favorites, and we're talking about, this is up against Jeff Lemire, the likes of Charlie Houston, Doug Mensch. Jed McKay is hitting it out of the park, and he doesn't focus too much on the identities, but he has addressed it. So there's just so much versatility, I think, with the character that you can bring into the decks. Just finally, look, I'm just going to flick through these really quickly. You've got your side schemes. I like this fact of Moon Knight, Miss Knight getting -1 attacks. I haven't actually played anything yet where you get minus. So looking forward to playing that. That's pretty cool. We get treachery cards. Discard the ally you control with the least remaining hit points. I thought this was a little bit off because, yeah, but I think with Moon Knight, again, on point, he's pretty much a lone wolf. Actually, no, having said that, he actually does have his allies, but they're not superheroes. They're his little support network. Frenchie is his next to brother in arms, so that sort of stuff.
So I was thinking too, Frenchie might be one of those persona supports, right? Where,
yes,
and you'd use him in alter ego form. But then maybe I was thinking, who would his ally be? Maybe Tigra?
Yes, Tigra, right? Definitely.
So
yeah. I was thinking like if it was a campaign, like an expansion set, the two heroes would be Moon Knight and Tigra. I would put both. Put both of them together. Having said, I'll just jump through here, but because you were mentioning about Frenchie, I did see. That's not it. There's an ally here, Echo. She features.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yep. I did read this one too. That's great include.
Yeah, Brian Michael Bendis run Echo. She is predominantly a Daredevil. She started out as a Daredevil character, supporting character, but she has gone on to bigger and better things. I think currently she's got the Phoenix Force of all things, so she's beyond street level. This was the Frenchie one there, Steve. I thought, yeah, the support. He's the man in the chair. He's the pilot. He's the one that throws down the rope ladder for Moon Knight when Moon Knight needs to get out of there, and he's kind of in a way a bit of Moon Knight's conscience as well. Kind of tries to keep him on track. Frenchie's an awesome character. I reckon if you slap a costume on Frenchie, he's a full-on superhero himself. He's more than capable. So I'm glad that they've included him in there.
Did we see Frenchie in the Disney Plus show?
No.
No.
We saw his name. Oh. We saw his name in the when Oscar Isaac was scrolling through the phone, where he got there's like Layla, and there's Frenchie there, the one Frenchie.
Okay.
And yes, of course, just wrapping up here, Khonshu, you can't not have him in there. I was thinking of similar to Wolverine and is it Phoenix when Moon Knight dies, you can revive him. I think something like that would have been pretty cool. Play that as a Khonshu card. It's also like Captain America has one for some reason as well, doesn't he? Like he has
his helmet.
His helmet. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
He comes back with one, so that's a little bit off, but I reckon very appropriate for.
Well, Cap can do this all day. That's
yes.
That's the thing, I think. So,
well, you know what? I actually made an absolute boo-boo when I was first starting. I was playing Cap for the first time, and I read that thing going, pretty cool. Like, he can ready himself. So I kept on, like, more than one turn, like, whenever he starts like, he can do this all day, right? So,
yeah.
So, there you go. Let me get rid of that. Let's put us back to here. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's put us over there. So, I mean, that's just going through the decks. Look, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on. It was so much fun to talk to you about. There's so much to talk about within the game, so it's hard to kind of truncate it into the 1 hour. But thank you so much for your time. And I hope you... I hope you get into a bit more Moon Knight. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely.
I've written these down. I'll be getting more into it.
Oh, good. I want the list, Mike. If we ever get a Moon Knight in the game, you got to come on our show, and you'll do the lore and talk about his nemesis and stuff with us.
I'll be there in a heartbeat for sure. You guys are great. Before we go, again for loony listeners out there, where can they find both of you, and where can they find your show?
Mike.
I knew you were going to ask me that. We are Critical Encounters. You can email us at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com, but don't bother. Just go straight to your favorite podcast app and search for Critical Encounters. You can find us on Facebook, on Patreon, on YouTube. Critical Encounters, and of course, we're also on the Discords. I'm wondering too. Steve is Vardane, and Daniel is Big Foam Loaf, and Yeah, we'll spell those for you later.
Yeah, no worries. I'll chuck all of these in the show notes. Again, Loonies, I urge you to, number one, if you haven't already, check out the game. And the game is also available on like Tabletop Simulator, right? So you can buy a version and play it online as opposed to just doing the traditional way. But
It is available, but not through FFG. It's fan based.
okay, right, yep.
So if you're going to play on any of the electronic versions, Tabletop Simulator or whatever else, we urge you to own the cards you're going to play.
Yes. Okay, gotcha.
So if Mike and I were going to play online, we own the cards we're using online because we want FFG to continue to produce this great content. So we're going to buy the game. Don't just, maybe if you want to just see if it's something for you, it might be worth a look.
Yep.
But really go out, get the game if you're going to use any of those digital formats.
That's a great point, actually. So yeah, I don't know too much about it, but yes, absolutely own the card decks as well. It takes a bit of, there's a little bit in the wallet that takes a hit, I think, when you go through it. But I've recently, just yesterday, I got my last two. I got Mojo, Mania, and Nova. I'm complete. I'm happy.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Nice.
I can't wait.
Nice.
But I haven't
Good
played.
box.
I've only played like 10% of
You'll
the
get there.
characters.
You'll get
there.
Yeah. So
the listener could go out. They can buy the core set.
Yep.
From anywhere. You can get it at Target, Barnes and Noble, online, your local game store. And that's enough.
Yes.
You don't have to buy more than that, right? It has 5 heroes, 3 villains. You can deck build and really play it and see what you think about it and then go from there. And then you're going to get hooked. You're going to want to go buy some more.
Absolutely. So yes, of course, similar to the way I like to promote and support LCSs, local comic book stores. Please support FFG as well. Go get the deck, and play it online once you have the cards as well. Right. Also, just finally, I'm going to chuck this on. That's not the one. Hey. Yes, email. You can catch us again. feedback@itkmoonnight.com. We've got a website, itkmoonnight.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. The important thing is the handle, ITK Moon Knight. So go check all that out. Guys, once again, a huge thank you. Really appreciate it, and hope we can chat again sometime, either here or over on your show.
I'd love to.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks a lot. That was a lot of fun.
No worries.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No worries. As always, everyone, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.
Hi, I'm Pax.
And I'm Abigail.
Welcome to Ghost Spider Groupies, a podcast dedicated to Gwen Stacy of Earth 65, also known as Spider-Gwen and Ghost Spider, where we review her comics, discuss news, and give our opinions about all things Gwen 65.
Right now, we are reading through Gwen's main solo series. Each week, we break down a new arc and discuss our and the listener's thoughts. Tune into each episode and come on this journey through the character's history with us, available wherever you listen to your podcasts.